Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to yet another great episode of Bahrain Now, your source of local initiatives, happenings, talents, and trends. I'm your host, Khalid Hidris, here to walk you through our exciting lineup of segments and personalities from around Bahrain. So don't go away, we'll be right back. Bahrain Red Crescent Society continues to contribute in alleviating human suffering, provide social services and humanitarian aid, train volunteers to work according to the principles of society, and contribute to the decimation of international humanitarian law, to provide services and assistance to the needy. To speak more about raising awareness on the work of the Society, we are joined here today by the head of the First Aid Committee, Ms. Fatma Abdulrahman. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
So I'd like to start by saying since the establishment in 1970, the Bahrain Red Crescent Society has been exerting tremendous humanitarian efforts. Can you tell us a little bit about the work the Society does and the principles behind them?
Okay, we do carry out our work adapting the principles of the ICRC, that is International Committee of Red Cross and Crescent, and these principles are impartiality, independence, humanity, unity, voluntary work, and universality.
Beautiful concepts to build a society off of, especially something as something that serves humanity, like the Red Cross or Crescent. And the Society offers a lot of services and support to the people in need in Bahrain and abroad, actually. So could you tell us a little bit about your recent activities or your recent events?
Recent activities, as in the year of 2023, we did some social services. We do contribute before Ramadan in helping needy families. We have a committee dedicated to help the ones in need, not only financially, but we do extend our support as psychological support and means of livelihood. We do reply to the emergency response from the IFRC as well, and we did contribute in the disaster of the earthquake of Turkey and Syria, and we did a campaign in Bahrain regarding this matter.
Very well. And can you, obviously this is a society that is very human orientated. It's all about other people. So can you tell us a little bit about the vitality of stuff like volunteers in the Red Crescent Society?
Volunteers, let us talk first about voluntary work. Volunteering, it's a way of life. It's a pleasure of giving others. And by this concept, we do attract young people and young volunteers in some of our programs. Just recently, we have conducted a 2-week program. It is called Future Volunteers, and it's targeting boys and girls between 14 and 17 years old. And it is focused on leadership, disaster management, and first aid. They will benefit from all of these concepts after graduating school or university. They will come back to us.
Very nice, and it's always good to get people involved in stuff when they're younger, because it almost, it's like you said, it becomes a way of life, basically. Yes. And you're quite the pillar in the society, so I'm sure you've experienced a lot of things over the time that you've served with the Red Crescent. Now, on that note, I'd like to ask you if there are any highlights you'd like to share with us, or anything that affected you personally.
Yeah, funny that you asked me this question. I don't want to reveal my age in any point, but I did my first course in first aid was in the Gulf War, and I was a student at this point. Because I took this course, it really opened my mind, and it led me to my career as a nurse. After getting my retirement, my only goal, how to serve this society, because I started my life or my career life basically on an idea of a small course in the society.
Very nice, and it's really nice to. I mean, it's an unfortunate event, but it was something that really got you into this line of work,
Yes.
and really shows that there is a lot of possibility for compassion among people, and it's really nice to see societies taking that into stride and applying it.
Yes.
Now, I'm sure there are a lot of other people out there who maybe have similar stories to yours who are looking to get involved. So could you tell us a little bit about people who want to get involved with the Red Crescent Society? Like, what are the standards for entry if someone wants to be a volunteer?
There is no standards. Everyone is welcome to join us. They can register either personally or online. There is a registration form. We do conduct a lot of activities either in shopping malls or in some other organizations. Please do seek us, do seek our registration form when you see this vest.
Well, I mean, definitely, I think it's something very noble to get involved in. And I'd like to ask you on that note, do you guys have any upcoming events or initiatives that you could talk about?
Of course, our society has various committees, and these committees have a huge calendar of events. You can know and you can get a head notice of our events through our social media, our Instagram, it is RCS Bahrain. We do have in October, on 16th of October, World Restart Heart Day. On 9th of September, we do have the World First Aid Day, and we do celebrate them vastly with the community. So please wait for our events and keep close watch on our social media.
Brilliant. And is there anything else you'd like to add before we conclude?
I would like to extend my thanks and appreciation for Bahrain TV to give us the chance to elaborate more on Bahrain Red Crescent Society. Thank you very much for having me.
Thank you as well. Thank you so much for joining us, and I wish you all the best in your future endeavors.
Thank you very much.
Viewers, don't go away. We'll be right back with more on Bahrain Now. A group of students from the College of Information Technology at University of Bahrain presented a technical system that can help referees in the sport of boccia to manage the matches by reducing the use of manual measurement tools as well as the wasted time during the match. To talk more about that, we are pleased to be joined here in the studio by the students, Wiyam Major, Nawaf Nazir, Fatma El Marbati, and Aisha Iman. How are you guys doing?
Good.
We're good. Very good.
Well, I want to thank you guys so much for joining us today. And I mean, I think it's a really interesting project that you guys have come up with, and especially combining something like information technology and sports. So, Nawaf, I'd like to start with you. Could you tell us a little bit about your team and the project?
Well, our project is in collaboration with the University of Bahrain and AWS and Tamkeen under the program called Cloud Innovation Center. So the whole gist of the program is basically we work with our university and AWS to solve issues that are faced by the public sector here in the Kingdom of Bahrain. And ours particularly helps with the Bahrain National Paralympic Committee, where we're trying to automate the scoring process for a Paralympic sport called boccia.
Very brilliant. It's like it's a really smart way to approach this issue, and you guys really came up with an innovative solution. And Aisha, could you tell us a little bit about the concept of the sport of boccia? Because I've never heard of it, to be honest.
Boccia is a Paralympic sport, so it's played by people with severe physical disabilities like cerebral palsy. It's played in over 50 plus countries. It's a really popular and well-watched sport in the Paralympic Committee, and Bahrain organized the Boccia World Cup last year in November 2022. So the game of boccia is played by two teams. There is a red team and a blue team, and each team has 6 balls, and the aim of the game is to get as many balls as close to the white ball as possible. So there is a lot of strategy, a lot of planning. The scores change after each and every throw, so it's a very dynamic and fun game to watch.
It sounds like it. It sounds like there's a lot to it. And Wiam, could you tell us a little bit about the problems that your technical system can solve?
Now, first, we identified the problems by communicating with Bahrain Paralympic Committee, and we noticed that there is 4 main problems that this game is facing. Starting off with time, because it's all gone with manual measurements by 3 to 4 referees or judges per match, and per match it takes them around 30 minutes to take all the measurements after each throw. So it is time consuming, as well as it is it's costly, because Bahrain Paralympic Committee is a non-profit organization where they rely on the judges that are volunteers. But sometimes when there is tournaments here in Bahrain, as Aisha said that recently they had here the World Cup in November 2022, they need more volunteers to manage the matches, so they brought judges from outside Bahrain, so they has to pay for them the accommodation. This is the second issue. Now the third issue is that there is no any engagement for the spectators, because there's only tiny TV in front of the field, where the spectators cannot really engage throughout the match. And finally, one of the also more important issue was the flow of the tournaments. Because Latifa Bouhadji, she told us from Bahrain Paralympic Committee that during the tournaments there is one big hall, and this hall runs 7 matches per at a time, and none of the teams are allowed to leave the hall unless all the scores are defined. So this limits the amount of countries that can participate in the tournaments. So our system came to solve these issues.
Brilliant. And I feel like I'm really learning a lot right now, and especially, and you guys clearly became very well acquainted with bocce in order to really delve into the intricacies of any of the issues that come along with it. Now, on that note, I want to ask you, Fatma, a little bit about some of the observations you made while working this technical system.
So as we've established by now, the automated scoring system that we built for bocce has really been a game changer, because as Wael mentioned, there have been many problems that are existing in the game right now currently. So the first issue that we tackled was producing real-time score calculation results very precisely, accurately, and in real time. And we know in the game of bocce, precision is very accurate, because one small thing can change the entire track of the game. So it can change the whole flow in an instant. The score can change. So what we do is provide real-time score calculations, and then we send these to the judges so that they can make their scores. So the second thing we tackled is that what we noticed is that it took so much time and effort just to judge a single bocce game. And I don't think that we've mentioned this, is that 3 to 4 judges are being tasked just to judge a single bocce game. And now, as Wael mentioned, that there are like 7 games that are playing in parallel in a single field. Now you can imagine 3 to 4 judges for each of the 7 games. Like, that's going to take a lot of costs, a lot of time, a lot of effort, and in a single mistake can ruin the whole flow. So as I've said, we produce the real-time results, and then it just saves a lot of time and effort there, and cost as well. And the third thing we noticed is that there was absolutely no kind of audience engagement in the game. And I think we all mentioned is that they do have a tiny CV screen, but no one is utilizing it. So it's not being used for anything. So what we did was create a 3D simulated replay of the game that is shown after each throw of the ball, so that spectators can be engaged a bit, and players as well, while the judges make their call. And in the end of the game, we show a 3D simulated replay of the players' best to throw. So just to have them more engaged in the game throughout.
I mean, kudos to you guys. I mean, that's an amazing way of very succinctly tying the whole experience together, really. And I want to get back to you, what are some of the difficulties? Because I'm sure with such an undertaking, you do face challenges. So what were some of the challenges you and the team faced, and how did you overcome them?
Honestly, there was a lot of challenge, starting with the knowledge. We didn't hear of pocha before. So in terms of knowledge, we didn't have any foundation base about the sport and about the technologies that will be used. And how we address this issue is, or the challenge is reaching out to Bahrain Paralympic Committee, and our mentors were there to help us. The second challenge was maybe the resources. We didn't have enough resources. For example, our camera had a very limited resolution that cannot even detect the balls properly. So, and how we tackle this, we searched and we find that we can pull the resolution through a line of code. And one more challenge was the environment. The Bocha field, it is a very huge 12.5 times 6.5 meters. So to build our testing environment took us time to settle the camera, to find even the flooring lines. It was affecting the accuracy of the system. And I want to conclude with the main issue is that throughout the program, it took us like a lot of time of testing different approaches. For example, using 3 different YOLO AI models to find the most accurate solution. However, we end up with using a CV algorithms, because we find out that this is the best and most accurate. So it was a really difficult journey, because we kept on shifting from one approach to another approach. So we end up with like 4 different approaches, but we selected the most accurate one. So these are the challenges.
Well, I mean, clearly you guys have learned a lot from these
Yes,
challenges.
true.
And thankfully, you overcame them and managed to produce something incredible. Now, building on that, Nawaf, I want to ask you about the new areas of knowledge that you've kind of cultivated from this technical system.
Right. Well, like Vyam mentioned, our system is pretty complex, and it was very diverse with what technologies exactly were used. So, I mean, these weren't necessarily fields that we weren't used to in IT and CS, but then there's just a different level of understanding that comes when you practically apply this knowledge that you learn through university or through your courses. And yeah, I'd say mostly the technologies we learned were with machine learning and computer vision technologies. This is mainly used for the actual automated scoring system part. But at the same time, like we mentioned, we also have a 3D simulated replay. And for this, we used various 3D modeling, game software, and game design principles as well. But I'm not going to say strictly technical. We also did this project in between all our classes, mostly missing some classes, I won't lie. So this taught us a lot, and I'm pretty sure I can speak for the whole team here. This taught us a lot about efficient and effective communication and time management as a team. But yeah, overall, we learned quite a bit, I'd say.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely think that you guys really showed how much that you guys are learning. Again, I'm just really in awe of how succinctly you guys are all explaining this to me, and I can really paint a clear picture of it in my head. And Aisha, I'd like to ask you about what your plans are to further develop your skills, your skills in this field, and possibly how you could use those skills to further the project.
So we want to add new features to the prototype, like adding a penalty system for the game to make it represent the real-life game even more. And inshallah, we want to develop our system enough so we could present it at the next Bocha World Cup as a technology. And we would also like to expand this technology to include other games that are played in the 2D field. Yeah.
I definitely look forward to that. I definitely, I know for a fact that you guys are capable of developing another system for another sport. And Fatma, I'd like to ask you about how you value the support provided by the University of Bahrain and the College of Information Technology in particular to this project.
Yeah, so as you know by now, we faced many difficulties and new challenges along the way. But one thing that really helped us was the support that University of Bahrain gave us, and specifically the College of Information Technology. So I'd first say that they gave us the opportunity to work on this project throughout the Cloud Innovation Center program. And the second thing we struggled with was that we'd never had enough resources or facilities to test our product and to develop it. So what the university did was give us enough resources, enough facilities that we needed, and also the technical expertise that we needed to get along. And by saying that, I just want to show my gratitude to specific people in the university. First of all, our project supervisor, Dr. Qasim Al-Ubaidat, and our AWS supervisor, Dr. Abdullah Al-Asadi, and the head of the IT department, Dr. Hassal Junaid, who kept on encouraging us and encouraging other students like us to pursue this career.
It's always really great to see how the institutions in Bahrain are always really pushing the youth of Bahrain forward. And clearly it pays off because we have initiatives like this to show for it. Now, Nawaf, I'd like to ask you about the other institutions that provided support, which includes Amazon Web Services and the Labor Fund from Temkeen.
Well, we had the privilege of learning and applying AWS cloud computing technologies directly from mentors of the AWS team here in Bahrain. And at the same time, we also had the privilege of learning how the exact development process of software happens in these big tech companies like AWS. So at the same time, we'd also like to show some appreciation to specific people from the team as well, specifically Mr. Abdul Latif Rashdan, who is our mentor from AWS, along with Mr. Hamad Al-Khal. Their mentorship was exceptional. They kept pushing us to achieve more than what we thought we were capable of. And at the same time, I'd also like to appreciate Ms. Aisha Siali, who was the project coordinator, and Mr. Natal Al-Basha, who is the head of public sector innovation for the MENA region in AWS. And at the same time, through our project and program, we were also trained on how to pitch a project as a startup to potential investors. And at the same time, for that, I'd also like to appreciate Mr. Yusuf Buhaza, because teaching business to a bunch of IT students, it's not the easiest task, but he did it really well.
Amazing. And Aisha, were there any other institutions that helped you guys out?
Yes, I'd like to thank the Bahrain Paralympic Committee, first of all, for giving us the opportunity to work with the game of Bocha and to develop something that could automatically calculate the score. From the Bahrain Paralympic Committee, I'd like to especially thank Mr. Mahmoud Al-Shuri and Ms. Latifa Bouhiji, who guided us about the principle of how the game is played, and who took us to the field and showed us, and also introduced us to some of the athletes over there. I would also like to thank Wala, Ali, Maria and Tasneem from the University of Bahrain for building a dashboard system to help visualize the output from the computer vision technology that we built.
It is really amazing to see how you guys as a team and in collaboration with these other institutions have achieved so much. I mean, you guys should be really proud of yourselves. So with all of that being said, it really is amazing to see how much support you guys have had and how so much faith has been put into you and your capabilities. And I mean, clearly you guys have shown that you're capable of it. So I'd like to ask you guys, I'm sure that there are a lot of people who are looking to what you've achieved and are hoping to follow in similar footsteps. What advice would you give to students like yourself who are looking to take such an endeavor?
So what I'd say is success comes a bit from inspiration, but it mainly comes from implementation. And all of us had no knowledge of the specific field of computer science that we entered. But I don't think that stopped us. Instead, we were dedicated, and this dedication conquered all knowledge gaps. So don't be scared to try something new.
My advice would be to don't focus on making everything perfect from the get-go. If you have an initial plan and you have a rough idea, just dive into it and you'll figure out the miniature details later on. Don't focus on having the perfect plan at the start.
Now, from my side, I would like to highlight the importance of joining such programs, which is Cloud Innovation Center program of University of Bahrain, because this program is such a valued program as they collaborating with AWS and other institutions. So these programs will really help you to gain technical and soft skills and also develop your knowledge. So never stop and never fear of failure. Always, they say, fail fast to succeed fast. So believe in yourself and you can do it.
Yeah, well, I'd say no matter who you are underestimating your actual ability. So most importantly, if you pick up a project and you feel like you're not exactly capable of completing this project given the time constraint or something, you pick the right project. So yeah, you will learn a lot. Just aim higher than you think you can.
Brilliantly said, guys. That's a great message. And speaking of messages, I believe that you mentioned that you have a fifth team member who was unable to make it today. So I would like to ask you guys in the same order if anyone has a message for them.
Yeah, we are a team of 5, but as you can see, we are 4 over here right now. Our team leader and the glue of our group, Mariam Ibrahim, unfortunately she couldn't be over here today. So we'd just like to give a special shout out to her for her amazing leadership and support that. Honestly, we would not be able to complete this project if it wasn't for her.
Brilliant. Very well said. I want to thank you guys again so much for joining us, and I'm looking forward to seeing what you guys come up with next in the future. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you for having
us.
us today here. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. So viewers, don't go away. We'll be right back with more on Bahrain Now. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we've made it to the finish line. A huge thank you to all of our guests for joining us tonight, and another huge thank you to all of you watching us at home. As always, be sure to reach out to us on our social media accounts shown below. We'd love to hear from you. This was Khalid Hidris, and until next time, good night and God bless.